honor it is to serve in a congregation with such a rich and bountiful cantorial tradition. They're rabbis, they're cantors, but the thing that makes a synagogue hum is its lay leadership, and our lay leadership acknowledging the chairman on this bima, our present chairman, Art Penn. It's a great pleasure and with deep gratitude and admiration that I call on you to share words of greeting on behalf of the lay leadership of Park Avenue Synagogue.
Thank you, Rabbi Cosgrove. And you're not too shabby yourself. You'll not only do we have the CD and the download, we have obviously the 9th sermon book. Is this the 8th sermon book? This is your 9th high holiday at Park Avenue Synagogue. And Ozzy, this is your 8th high holiday at Park Avenue Synagogue. And you guys just every year take it one step beyond, one notch higher, going from great to greater. And we thank you for everything you do every year, as well as the rest of the clergy team. And you see all of them floating throughout the services here this year: Rabbi Cosgrove, Rabbi Zuckerman, Rabbi Wachowski, Cantor Schwartz, Cantor Lissick, Cantor Brook. We've got a terrific clergy team. Each year they're taking it to another level on the holidays, and we, on behalf of the lay leadership and the 1,650 families, thank you for all that you do. Shana Tova. One of my favorite TV shows is Larry David's Curb Your Enthusiasm. In one episode, Larry has a near-death experience. During the incident, he prays to God, and he lives. Believing that God saved him, Larry decides he wants to go to synagogue for the high holidays. He realizes that it's a tough ticket to get. He asks his agent to make some phone calls, and even the agent couldn't get tickets for Larry. In desperation, he buys tickets from a scalper who is standing outside of the synagogue. The scalper guarantees that the seats are so good that it's the deal of a lifetime. With tickets in hand as they approach the synagogue door, Larry's wife says she just doesn't understand why people have to buy tickets for synagogue. Larry replies that there are just too many Jews to go around during the high holidays. Can you imagine that? The famous poem, The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost, ends with this eloquent thought: two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. During high holiday time, many take the path to synagogue, the path which is more traveled. I know this to be true as I'm giving this speech 3 times tonight in 3 different locations. Paths define our lives, paths that are presented to us and paths that we seek out. The journey of life is a collection of the paths that we choose to take. I always enjoy hearing the different paths our members have taken to Park Avenue Synagogue. Simchat Torah, the annual completion and re-beginning of the Torah, is in a few weeks' time. Our tradition at Park Avenue Synagogue is to honor 2 congregants for their longtime service to the community and give them the opportunity to tell their story. We've had so many wonderful honorees over the years. For instance, Nadine Habusha Cohen met her husband Ed jogging along the East River about 34 years ago. She was raised Orthodox, he Reformed. They found Park Avenue Synagogue comfortable for both of them, and they've stayed engaged in our community. Nadine has taken on a variety of important leadership roles. Shireen Rutman married into the Park Avenue Synagogue family when she married Howard, whose parents were already members. For over 3 decades, Shireen has contributed to and enriched our community as a board member and involved in many education committees, among other meaningful roles. Mark and Rachel First, both Simchat Torah honorees, joined Park Avenue Synagogue because our community felt like the synagogue in which they both grew up. Mark learned from his parents that giving back is just something you do. We thank him and Rachel for their significant contributions, including Rachel's service as an officer and chairing many important committees, and Mark's service to our board, including co-chairing the Finance Committee, among other areas of involvement. This year we will honor Suzanne Eisenberg and Lou Bernstein. I look forward to hearing their Jewish stories, their Park Avenue Synagogue stories, and their paths. My family has its own story. Eileen and I joined Park Avenue Synagogue about 20 years ago, shortly after we had our first child. Eileen was raised in the Reformed tradition and grew up in the suburbs of Philadelphia, while I was raised outside of Baltimore as a conservative Jew. We were looking for a place where our children could get a Jewish education and where we could be part of a Jewish community. Between our 3 children, Madeline, Andrew, and Eliza, they were in every color room of the early childhood center. Traveling with the synagogue to Israel with fellow B'nai Mitzvah families cemented long-term relationships with friends. Seeing our children read Torah during their B'nai Mitzvah was a joyous and emotional moment for us. The power of that moment inspired me to become more active in the synagogue. I feel honored to serve such a vibrant, warm, and sacred community. What these stories show us is that we all arrive to Park Avenue Synagogue on different paths. Once we get here, however, we again have to make a decision and choose what our next path will be. What path will we take within the synagogue community? One option is to take the middle path, being actively engaged, attending Friday night or Shabbat morning services, getting to know other families, using the synagogue as a means for your children to get a Jewish education, choosing to be engaged with our adult education programs, or traveling with the synagogue, being philanthropic to the synagogue, allowing you to give back to the Jewish community. There are so many paths available, which allow us all to be actively involved in Park Avenue Synagogue. To keep our services, education, and programming as vibrant as they are, your annual support to our Kol Nidrei appeal is critical. Synagogue dues represent only 2/3 of our expenses, excluding the schools. Last year, we raised a record $2.8 million from over 1,100 families. That was the broadest participation in our 134-year history. Thank you. This year, we would like to have 100% participation, as every single contribution counts and is important. You can also take the path of leadership at Park Avenue Synagogue. A story in the Midrash tells of Nashon, the head of the tribe of Judah. When the Israelites were trapped between the sea and Pharaoh's army, Moses was praying to God for help. Nashon decided to take action and waded into the sea. Not until the water reached his head did the sea part, allowing the Israelites to cross. This past summer, we established the Nashon Leadership Circle. This circle recognizes our members who, like Nashon, step forward to lead our community with a pledge to our once-in-a-generation capital campaign. Our campaign is called the Synagogue in Action, Building the Future. I'm thrilled to report that hundreds of families are part of the Nashon Leadership Circle, with gifts ranging from $180 to over $5 million. We need to have vision and occasionally take calculated risks in order to enhance our destiny. With the dramatically increasing engagement of our members, our community has grown beyond its physical capacity. At Kol Nidrei, just 2 years ago, we outlined a vision for a new lifelong learning center on 89th Street and a revitalized 87th Street building that together will create a center for prayer, learning, and community. This is why we've been pursuing our once-in-a-generation campaign. For those of you who are part of the Nashon Leadership Circle, please accept our heartfelt gratitude for your generosity. Your leadership is inspirational, and we're thrilled to recognize you in the pamphlet on your seats tonight. I'm reminded of a story. Murray is a religious man. One day, a nearby river floods into town, forcing Murray to climb onto the top of his garage. A man in a boat comes along and tells Murray to get in. Murray says, "That's extremely kind of you, but no thanks. God will take care of me." The water rises, and now Murray has to climb onto the roof of his house. Another man in a boat comes along and tells Murray to get in. Murray replies, "That's extremely kind of you, but no thanks. God will take care of me." The water continues to rise, and soon Murray climbs higher and is clinging to his chimney. A helicopter arrives and lowers a ladder. Murray replies, "That's extremely kind of you, but no thanks. God will take care of me." The pilot says, "Are you sure?" Murray says, "Yes, I'm sure that God will take care of me." Finally, the water rises too high, and Murray drowns. He goes up to heaven and meets God. Murray says to God, "I thought you would take care of me. What happened?" God replies, "Well, I sent you 2 boats and a helicopter. What else did you want me to do?" While sometimes we've needed divine intervention to get us to this point in the building project, our efforts of taking our destiny in our own hands have paid off. I'm pleased to report that we continue to make significant strides. Last March, we started construction of the Lifelong Learning Center. This building is scheduled for the completion around the high holidays next year. After that, the revitalization of our 87th Street building will begin. 2 years ago in Kol Nidrei, when we launched the capital campaign, we announced that we had raised $36 million from 55 families. Last year at this time, we announced that we had raised $60 million from 194 families. We've been continuing with the campaign throughout this past year, led by our honorary co-chairs, John Hess, Leon Black, Ralph Lauren, and David Simon. I'm thrilled to report that as of earlier today, from 633 families, we've raised $72 million. quadruple high. We are so fortunate to have such strong support for this once-in-a-generation campaign. Thank you. We recognize that between the Kol Nidrei appeal, which pays for annual expenses, other appeals you get from parts of the synagogue, and the capital campaign, we are asking a lot. Our campaign has had two objectives. The first is to reach or exceed the dollar amount of the project. Our second goal is broad community participation, so that the legacy we leave future generations truly rests on the shoulders of our entire community. We want each and every one of us to be able to share in the pride of this transformation. So if you haven't given yet, please make a gift of any size. Just participate. Any funds raised above the expected cost of the project will be used to increase our endowment to maintain our space for future generations and provide support to handle unforeseen renovation costs. We've had such an overwhelming response to the National Leadership Circle, and we've had so many requests from our members to participate just as we were sending our publication to print. As a result, we're pleased to extend the opportunity to become part of the National Leadership Circle to the conclusion of Hanukkah on January 1st, 2017. The Circle will continue to receive special recognition throughout the campaign in appreciation of those of you who, like Nashon, waded into the sea. I'm hopeful that the ultimate number of families who are in the National Leadership Circle will be twice what it is today. Broad participation will build the bonds of our thriving community, allowing everyone to be part of our shared legacy. It will also make a statement about our vibrant Jewish community that will resonate for decades. We have all benefited from the generosity of those who came before us and built our 36-year-old building. It's now our time to pick up the mantle of responsibility for the future. We're asking each of you to participate with a gift that's meaningful to you and your family. As Winston Churchill once said, we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. Above all else, at Park Avenue Synagogue, our focus remains on a culture of one-on-one connection, kindness, and warmth that has been our hallmark for decades. We provide a welcoming entry into our community. We meet people where they are, and we assist them on their Jewish journey. I believe that the best way to walk down life's path is to never do it alone. As you think about your path, remember the importance of your family, the Jewish people, and this community. Think about the important moments and phases in your life: births, Breton baby namings, holidays, Jewish education for our children and ourselves, B'nai Mitzvah, weddings, community events, and sad times of death and mourning. Think about the relationships you develop here. There are many wonderful and kind people here to fill your journey with meaning and joy. I strongly encourage you to be like Nashon. Take action. Get involved in Park Avenue Synagogue and create a path for yourself, your family, our community, the Jewish people, and for those that follow you. Our dreams can only be realized with the support of our entire community. We cannot do this without you. We're a synagogue in action, building the future, uniquely positioned to address the needs of our community. I hope you will take an active part in it. On behalf of the officers and board of trustees of the synagogue, we pray that all of our members and their families are written and sealed in the book of life and enjoy a life of peace and prosperity, health and happiness. The ushers will now pass through the aisles for those of you who wish to show your support tonight.